everyone, and welcome to Solus City Podcast. Today we have a very important guest, a marketing genius, the one and only my manager, Elena Negrobova. Welcome, Elena, to Solus Podcast.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm in a very unusual role for me. I'm quite excited. I want to wish everyone festive season greetings and Merry Christmas who celebrated tonight.
Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we get into all the serious questions, let's just have a talk and go a little trip to the past and tell me, how did you start your career and your journey?
Oh, okay. So we are going back to like very, very early years of mine. 20 years back means like why I ended up in marketing,
Yes.
right? Well, honestly speaking, my choice was not a coincidence. I was interested in different fields. So actually I graduated from St. Petersburg State University. And by that time, it started to be trendy to, work in advertising, PR, and marketing. So my choice was very, let's call it organic. So basically, I initially studied advertising and public relations, but once I graduated, I decided that I want to work more in marketing, and this is how I ended up with, luckily, big multinational companies back in Russia.
Okay. What are the companies?
I started my journey with famous Finnish company. It was like quite famous back in 2000s, Marlies, and we were acquired by Ekes Granini. This is like one of the biggest juice manufacturers in Europe. And then after a few years, I got a job in one of the top players, FMCG players back in Russia, which also, like it was coincidental, was acquired by Coca-Cola. This is how I ended up working in marketing division of Coca-Cola company back in Russia.
Wow. And was it a little bit different here, the marketing scene between Russia and the UAE?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's different. Of course, market-wise, customer-wise, it's different. However, like let's say back in 2000s, marketing was the same, but the instruments were different because by that time we didn't have digital marketing. So mainly it was ATL, BTL, TTL. So this is like the fields which I was working. So since I was working for a big team on a national scale, the campaigns which we were doing, it was mainly like outdoor, it was TV, radio, it was big sponsorship projects. So yeah, let's say instrument-wise, it was slightly different, but digital marketing, this is something which I started to work here in the UAE. And of course, customer-wise, consumer-wise, this is a very cosmopolitan country. There are many nationalities, so you have to
It's a little bit harder because you need to adapt with the mentality and the thinking of around 200 nationalities.
Yes, to some extent. However, back in Russia, I love traveling. I used to travel a lot. And also I was working in like somehow multicultural environment. So some of the top managers were also from Eastern Europe. So when I moved here, it was not for me like a surprise. I would say I could adjust to the market quite quickly. But of course, you should consider some challenges, let's say pros and cons, because it's a different market. However, you should encounter that, let's say, different nationalities here, they have different mindset, mentality. So when you are working with different teams, let's say like Asian, Arabic speaker, Europeans, Russian speaker, you have to encounter their mentality. But honestly speaking, for me, it's not a challenge. I love dealing with multicultural environments. I feel that it fits me very well.
That's amazing. And also Russia is very big, so I'm sure there's a lot of different types of thinking and mindsets.
Yeah, of course. Market is very big, of course, so you have to have big budgets. But here the market is more dynamic, I would say, because this country brings nowadays, especially post-COVID times, the best talents. There are many companies coming nowadays and opening, there are many opportunities. So I see there are many perspectives in this market from different perspectives.
And you said the word budget and it triggered me. What do you think of like companies? I know that there's a lot of companies, for example, they hire an agency, a marketing agency or whatever. And even though in these times, everyone knows that marketing is so important, but they still don't put their effort into it or their budget. Like they say, okay, I want 100% exposure with 10k dirhams.
Well, I would say, yeah, it's a kind of controversial subject. In my opinion, this market, and this is a trend nowadays, this market is geared to big companies and big brands. So if you don't have decent budget, I would say don't come to this market. However, there are still some fields and some niches which you still can maneuver with, let's say, limited resources, especially if you work in a services field, and you are, let's say, catering certain audience. There is still chance to kick off with, let's say, limited budgets. If you have USPs of your service or your product and you have competitive advantage, you have still a chance to scale and grow. But of course, because over the last 10 years in this market, I worked with different projects. Like my core experience over the last 10 years is coming from a beauty industry. This is very competitive market. I mean, it's a market traditionally here for big distributors and big brands. So
Yes.
of course, if you don't have a clear understanding of the market, if you don't have a knowledge, if you don't have expertise and serious budgets, it's quite challenging to be established here. That's my opinion.
It is really. Okay, what's a non-marketing thing about you? Like people in
Okay.
the office don't know.
I feel that I have always been throughout my career entrepreneurship gear mindset. So I always like to look at things not just like, let's say, by the book, or let's say this is my field, I'm serving it, but I'm always encountering for the whole, let's say, picture. So I always like to look at the companies and products and launches, since I have also somehow entrepreneurship experience from a business perspective. Is it the right product for the market? Is it the right environment for this? So when I'm serving the marketing team, I'm always looking at the bigger picture, considering like business strategy, stakeholders, let's say market conditions, competition. So I'm looking at from the bigger picture, I would say, if I answered the question correctly.
Yeah, of course. And you said that you have like an entrepreneurship experience. Have you had your own business before?
Yes, here in this country, I mentioned that over the last 10 years, my core experience was in a beauty industry. Back in Russia, it was FMCG. So I actually, certain years ago, I launched the first concept store in the UAE, which was catering organic and natural skincare products. So this was honestly my hobby. So it's something which, let's say, passion ended up in a business. So this was very interesting journey, unique experience where the pioneers, especially it was a pre-COVID time. So e-commerce by that time was quite challenging, means it was mainly like big players on the market, like Noon has launched, okay? It was Mom's World, Namshi, so not so many e-commerce businesses. So consumers still were more towards offline shopping. So you have to like break through and convince, come online and shop with us.
Okay, and why did you stop?
Well, any entrepreneurship experience is the experience, as I mentioned. Here, when you're working in certain fields, you require a certain investment. So I would say this was one of the main challenges which unfortunately forced us to end this project. But it was an interesting journey. I got lots of experience. I got lots of connections which I used in my next job. So I'm very grateful for that.
Of course,
Yeah.
it's nothing is a loss. It's always you learn from.
That's my actually mindset in life. Whenever I'm losing something, I'm gaining and winning as well. So when you look at this from this perspective, you are moving and recovering from your, let's say, falls much faster.
And do you think that this is the most challenge that the businesses are facing? Like the lack of investments, for example, or this is keeping a lot of people from opening their own business?
Well, look, again, depends on the market, depend on the situation, depend on the product, because as per statistics worldwide, in the first year, 50% of businesses are closing down. Why? Different reasons. Sometimes the product is not right for the market. Sometimes it's not the right time. Sometimes there is a problem with, let's say, if several founders, they have misunderstanding. Sometimes it's a matter of investment. So many challenges. It depends how you overcome and if you're ready to overcome it. But of course, investment for certain projects sometimes plays a major role.
Okay, Elena, if you had to describe your job and your scope of work to a 12-year-old, how would you do it?
You mean my current job?
In general, no, in marketing, I mean.
I'm a connector.
Oh, nice, nice. I love this.
Yeah, because basically marketing is really a department, in my understanding, which connects different
Yes.
teams and support them. Of course, not probably, but the main one, it is sales team, because we are serving sales and we help them to scale. But I'm considering myself as a connector, especially in the current dynamic world.
I love this perspective. Okay, what's a marketing rule that you like to break or you don't like to work with?
I would say my main motto in marketing and in general is in business: look at the trends, but do it your own way.
You always say this
Yeah.
to me. Yeah, I love
That's
this. I love this.
that's my motto.
And we work by this always.
I would say another one: be copied, but not copy.
Yes, be copy and not. Yeah, this is.
But this actually, it's really consequence of the first goal.
Yes,
Yeah.
they work together in a very,
Exactly.
and if you
Yeah.
apply them both, it like you'll do wonders. Do you think that we also a couple of times we spoke about this? Do you think that companies are spending their marketing budget wisely, or some people they just, I have a 1 million budget, I'm gonna spend it?
Well, of course, there are certain rules, because look, if it's a well-established company which already generates revenue, there is always a formula how much you should spend out of your revenue. Like, for example, if it's a relatively new company, it can reach up to like 15%, or it can be, let's say, 10%. So of course, it's not that like I have this money I need to spend. For a newly formed company, which is a startup, which doesn't generate revenue at the moment, again, it all depends on goals and, let's say, as I said, investment. Let's say that I'm aiming these targets in the upcoming few years, because this is a budget which I need to allocate. So for my understanding, and I think this is how it should be, it's never just like I want to spend. It's always should be connected to your targets, what you are looking to achieve in the first year or second year.
Now we're talking about budgets and marketing, advertising. What do you think is more important, outdoor or digital?
Again, it's all depends on a product and all depends in a field which you are working. Because, for example, if you are a commerce startup and you are selling commodities, of course, digital marketing tools, this is your key to go at the start until you are very well established, okay? If you, for example, in purely B2B business and you're providing services, here offline it's something which will be helpful at the beginning, of course, with a mix of digital tools, because now we are living in a digital world. So again, I would say it's a mix of match different tools depending on what kind of product or service you are promoting.
But don't you think that outdoor advertising is outdated?
No, I don't think so, especially if we are looking at the UE. Look at the UE. How many people have cars?
Yes.
I think it's like at least 90%. So usually, like when you are driving, you can look around and you can see outdoors. So for certain brands, for certain product, at certain point of time, it's very important.
In my opinion, it's all like like they all complement each other. You know, it's an environment where you should go with like all the marketing tools at once, but also, of course, depends on your
Exactly.
goal and budget and everything.
But certainly you should have a digital print. I mean, digital marketing,
Yeah.
which is a must nowadays. So certainly you should account for that as well.
Some companies, like now, everyone is realizing the importance of them having Instagram account or TikTok or all the social media accounts. But do they, like, just to let people understand, do they expect sales and leads from these accounts, or is it just like a presence? I should have them.
Again, it depends on a product and on a service, because look, Instagram traditionally has been an entertaining channel. However, it's crucially important for certain businesses, like, for example, beauty, fashion. So I would say that like if you are working in an apparel industry, beauty or fashion, if we are looking at digital marketing or social media channels, Instagram will be your number one channel. However, if you are in B2B business, you are selling or offering services, LinkedIn is your first priority, but Instagram will be a supportive channel because again, it depends who is your target audience. You need to look at your target audience and based on that, encounter for particular social media channels, whether it is LinkedIn, whether it is Facebook, whether it's Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok.
But in my opinion, even like the big, like for example, Nike, Adidas, Apple, Coca-Cola, they don't need Instagram, but you have to. And I'm gonna tell you from my generation, like me, in the next 10 years, we're gonna rule the the business scene. For me, if I hear about any business, I don't go search it on their website or LinkedIn. I go to Instagram.
Yeah, again, I mentioned consumer-wise, age-wise. So you need to look who are your consumers, what the instruments they are using mainly. These statistics you can get from your research.
Yes. And from your experience in digital and social media, what's more important, creativity or consistency?
I would say both. Because without creativity, you won't be noticeable. You will be just somebody else who is copying the trends. Consistency is important because if you don't have consistency, let's say it's like creative part and analytical, pragmatic part. Both are important.
You did a great job hiring your team.
Thank you.
Complimenting myself. But for real, like me and my team, we have a great thing together. We complement each other's work. So how do you hire people? What's your checklist you need to?
Very good question and very challenging to answer. And I would say I don't have a checklist. Of course, I look at different things and different characteristics and different scope. Of course, experience makes sense. Of course, integrity makes sense. And also, I would always look at personal character of this person. I see how they can be integrated in a team, if they fit this role, if we can work together. But I like people who are initiative, who are creative, who are brave enough, because that's what fits my personality.
Like, do you think that the personality is a little bit more important than the experience, like 60-40?
I would say yes. And by the way, it's not only me who would answer the same for this question, because usually managers, they are hiring people they are comfortable to work with. I mean, this is the truth of this market. And not only this market.
And I feel like that's what the interviews are for. Because if I want to only hire you based on your experience, I'll look at your CV and hire you.
I would say I don't believe in traditional interviews.
Yes. And mine wasn't like traditional. It was like us getting to know each other.
Creative one. Yeah.
And how do you handle, normally, how do you handle pressure and tight deadlines?
Oh, honestly speaking, another challenging question to answer, because this is my pain point. This is something which I've been working years, let's say, to be stress resistant, but I realized one thing. This is something from psychology. Problems, in general, they don't exist. This is our reaction to a certain situation. This is how we react. So the same with stress, deadlines, and pressure. This is how we react to certain situations. So you need just to work on your resilience and be focused and be mindful and understand that this is work at the end. You just need to do it professionally. So this helps me a lot, this type of mindset. To bear difficult situations, to bear stress, to bear deadlines. And
with this mindset and maneuvering to this, are you having a work-life balance?
This is very controversial subject, because there is a trend right now in many companies, especially multinational, to provide people with work-life balance. But when you think and look at this deeply, work, it's a part of your life. So there is nothing such. Like you're waking up, you're spending time with yourself or with your family, right? If you have kids, and you're going to work. Either you're self-employed or you're working for a corporate. It's a part of your life. There is nothing such. The only thing, then you need to put your priorities in the right way. What is your priority? So based on that, you can plan in life further on. So answering your question, I don't believe in this because work is a part of life. So you just need to manage all.
And if you have like a good work environment, it's basically you're with your friends, at the office.
Throughout my career, I was lucky enough to work with amazing teams. It's based back in Russia, here, and this is always what I'm looking at when I'm stepping into new journey. For me, it's very important, and I would say it's top priority for me because I'm a kind of person, I like to stay in environment for some time. I don't like to jump from role to role. So working with good teams is a major priority for me.
Now, if you had the option to go back and change everything from the beginning in your career and life, would you change something or would you leave it?
I always like to live life without regrets. I don't like to look back, I would change this, I would change that. Probably I would get some, because I like to learn throughout my career and I always getting into new business courses, entrepreneurship courses, leadership. The education which I received, graduated 20 years back, I never stopped to learn. So I always like to improve my professional skills. So I would say yes and no. I think I'm on the right path. Maybe I would get additional education if I could in certain period of time, but I think I'm in the right place.
Okay, Elena, last but not least, what's one advice you wish someone told you when you were starting your career?
Nobody was giving me advices. I was learning everything throughout my career. Never give up. But I learned it through my professional path.
Yes.
Never
So this
give
is
up.
this
This
is a
helps
lesson.
me in the most difficult situations. Never give up. You fail, come up, recover, move forward.
It's an amazing lesson and amazing advice for people in their at the beginning of their career. And I feel like there's something that I learned from you that always this we hear a lot, look at the bright side, but you really look at the bright side. In the darkest situations, you really, really look at the bright side.
Yeah, look, I'm very glad if I can teach someone this, because I think this coming usually from life experience, not even professional experience. This is something in psychology. You always should not take things for granted, but appreciate this life and always look, okay, I don't have this, but I have this. Don't compare yourself with other people. Compare yourself with yourself yesterday, with yourself 1 year back, with yourself 10 years back. This will help you to keep moving, keep forward, and that's my best advice.
Thank you very much for your time, Elena. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I did a good job.
Yeah, thank you a lot. Really, it was an interesting experience, and I hope I coped with it.
Yes, of course. Like and subscribe to our channel to see more insightful videos, and goodbye.